ongoing country's drought situation, killing many day by day, residents of Baringo County have resorted to moving to the lower side of Capedo in search of water and pasture, even as the security situation in the area proves to be a challenge to many of the residents. Our reporter has more details for us to this story later on in the program. In sports, Elias Kimboy clocked 2 hours, 10 minutes and 22 seconds to win the men's 42-kilometer race at the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon on Sunday, picking up a 2 million Kenya shilling in the process. Wilfred Kirwa was second in 2 hours, 10 minutes and 51 seconds, while Felix Kangongo emerged third in 2 hours, 11 minutes and 10 seconds. Congratulations to the athletes. Welcome to the program. In the headlines tonight. Tonight, several people killed after a private car rams into a tuk-tuk, crashing it into a matatu at the Kamakis area on the Eastern Bypass, as road accidents claim tens of lives countrywide.
Hii barabara tunaomba tuwekewe bump juu gari zina overspeed sana na ndio zinakosa. Hata hii accident ya asubuhi ilifanyika juu hakuna bumps. Gari zinafurahi kuja zikitoka huko side ya Kamakis, so inabidi watuwekee bumps kadhaa.
Also tonight, President William Ruto outlines his plans for Kenyans.
Tutaweka rekodi mpya ya kuhakikisha kwamba serikali yetu inashughulika na maendeleo ya Wakenya wote bila ya kujali sehemu na mamirengo ya kisiasa.
As the Kenya Kwanza Alliance insists it does not have any intentions to make Kenya a one-party state. Plus, on our special feature, we highlight the plight of Kenyans pushed to the brink and turned to lenders who, in a way, exploit them.
Kwa sababu unasikia mtu anakuambia, even if you can't pay in a year, tunaweza pia kuongezea miezi kadhaa juu.
My name is Karen Karimi and Mini Mbesa is our sign language interpreter tonight. Now, to a top story, the drought situation in Baringo County is worsening day by day, with permanent rivers now drying up. Locals now have to depend on shallow dug wells along riverbeds for water for domestic use. In areas such as Mogotio, Tiaty and Baringo South, a number of animals have already died due to lack of water and pasture. This story was produced by Andrew Juma.
This is the current situation in parts of Baringo County, including Mogotio, Tiaty, Baringo South and North, where animals have started to die due to the unceasing drought.
Baringo County is currently facing a crisis. We have drought and we have famine. If you realize, almost 60% of Baringo is dry land, arid and dry land, arid lands. And as such, we are talking about the whole of Tiaty, parts of Baringo North, parts of Mogotio, actually the whole of Mogotio sub-county, the whole of Marikat, the whole of Baringo South, all of them are facing drought.
A visit to Akwichatis and Natan areas of Tiaty, carcasses of livestock could be seen, with those still alive looking feeble to stand, as locals dig shallow wells in a bid to quench the thirst for their animals after the long rains failed in many parts of the country.
Maji yetu hapa ni hii maji ya kuchimba hapa tu kwa mafisima. Tunashare hapa, kuna kisima inachimbwa. Upande hiyo wanyama wanakunyia maji. Sasa imekuwa bahati mbaya sana, maana sisi tunashare sehemu moja, lakini imefika wakati ile maji yetu ya wanyama imeisha. So vile unaona sasa hii kakas vile imetapakaa kila mahali upande hii.
Residents here have begun moving to the lower side of Capedo, which has a permanent water source, but insecurity in those parts has been a challenge as communities shy away for fear of clashes, which has been persistent for a long time in the area.
So tunaomba kabisa bado tutafuatilia serikali kuhakikisha kwamba wametusaidia na chakula, sababu hii area yetu ya Baringo na Mogotio ambayo ni kame sana, hali iko mbaya sana kwa sasa. Wananchi wanahitaji chakula na tunataka tuombe serikali ikiwezekana watuongezee chakula ili tuweze kupata watu wapate lishe na watu waweze kufanya kazi, sababu ukame imeweza kuangaisha watu na bado hatuna matumaini ukame itaisha lini.
Baringo leaders estimate that 9,000 mothers and children are affected by hunger, with the most affected being school-going children who have been forced out of school as parents migrate to look for food, water and pasture.
Tunaomba sana tuzidi kuongezewa, tupewe chakula kwa sasa. Tunaomba chakula kwa sababu ya wakaaji wa Baringo, watoto na kina mama.
Primary work of the government is to feed people, na to make sure that they may protect life, and life, to protect it is through eating, and through eating we protect life. So we want to ask the government to kindly atuongezee mambo ya chakula ya relief, sababu hali ni mbaya sana.
Locals are now calling for the government to extend the offtake program to ensure they do not suffer double losses.
Also tonight, President William Ruto has said that the affordable housing plan in his administration is aimed at solving the burden of unemployment crisis in the country as he strives to fulfill his promise he made before the elections. Speaking in Murang'a County Sunday, the head of state affirmed that the affordable housing project would address the current demand for over 2 million homes. In Nairobi, the government targets to build 500,000 houses. Mike Agwongo with the details.
Speaking in Murang'a County Sunday, the head of state maintained that the over 1 trillion project is aimed at creating job opportunities among Kenyans.
Njia ya kupanga ajira ya hawa vijana pia ni kupanga mpango wa affordable housing. Kwa sababu pale kwa affordable housing tuko na nafasi ya ajira ya vijana wetu.
Ruto noted that the project would be listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange NSE to allow Kenyans to invest in the real estate industry.
Pale Makenji tunataka kuwa na nyumba 1,700. Alafu nimemwambia huyu Kang'ata wa barua, kabla hajaniandikia barua, kwanza aende apange mahali tutapata mahali ya kujenga nyumba pale Kangema.
He noted that the plan would inculcate a saving culture in the country and also grow wealth for informal and formal sector workings as the government awaits to launch the National Saving Scheme. And barely a day after ODM leader Raila Odinga took a swipe at President William Ruto, claiming that opposition politicians were being coerced to join the government to get development projects in their regions, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has told former opposition to forget about joining the current government.
Hatuna haja na hatugojei wewe, we are not looking for you and we have no time. The last time uliingia serikali ya Uhuru Kenyatta aliharibu wako haribu. Mungetaka akaribie serikali yetu? Mungetaka akaribie? Stop saying that people can force you to come to this government. Forget about being forced or coerced. We are not interested because sisi tuko na kazi ya kufanya.
Gachagua told Raila that they are not interested in him and should just stick to his lane.
Na kazi ya kufanya, tumepata rais ambaye ako na maono ya kufanya kazi. Na hatutaki usaidizi kwa huyo mzee. Si tumeweka ale Zahome kumsaidia? Na Profesa Dongo si yako hapo? Si mimi niko? Si Ndede Nyoro wako hapo? Usaidizi gani mwingine angetaka kutoka pande hiyo? Hawa wakae huko, wafanye kazi ya oversight. Watukosoe, watuambie pahali tumekosea, watukaze kule bunge, hiyo ndio kazi yao, na wakifanya hiyo kazi tutasonga pamoja.
The president, however, assured Kenyans of his urge to unite each and every person, despite political differences that have since divided different regions.
Tulikubaliana ya kwamba tutajenga uchumi wa taifa letu la Kenya. Na tutajenga uchumi kupitia mpango ambayo haitawaacha Wakenya wengine nyuma. Tutashughulika hasa na wale walio chini ndio tuweze kuinua kila mtu. Na hiyo mpango sasa tumeanzisha rasmi.
Mike Kagwongo, TV 47.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leaders have castigated President William Ruto's directive to tax all Kenyans above the age of 18 years. Now, the leaders termed the move as retrogressive since it will burden a majority of Kenyans who live below $8 a day and who are grappling with the high cost of living. Boniface Baraza reports.
Angulia kule Canaan.
The leaders speaking in a Thanksgiving Mass at St. Kizito Catholic Church, Matisi in Saboti constituency, Trans Nzoia County, led by area member of Parliament Caleb Amisi, faulted President William Ruto's directive to be burdening the so-called hustlers who voted for his administration.
Tuliona Mheshimiwa Ruto akisema tax, hata ukiwa na bodaboda anaongeza tax. Bora tu uko na ID, ni lazima uchukue KRA pin. Hiyo sio vizuri. Watu wa chini wasitozwe ushuru. You can never tax a nation to prosperity.
The leaders say it's time for Kenya Kwanza administration to focus on how to save Kenyans from high cost of living, since majority are struggling to eke a living. Across the neighboring county of Bungoma, during the official declaration of DAPK candidate for the county senatorial by-election slated for December 8th, the party officials led by former Tongaren Member of Parliament Dr. Eseli Simiyu slammed President Ruto's directive.
What Kenya Kwanza is planning for this country is dangerous. That they want a holder of a freehold title to pay rent. Rent is paid by leasehold, not freehold. And if you talk about people paying rent on freehold land, that reminds us of the colonial masters, the Britons, who made every adult male pay heart tax. Is that where William Ruto wants to take this country? We say no.
Simiyu is the DAPK Secretary General, believes President Ruto's directive is taking the country back to the dark days of dictatorial leadership. With the informal sector taking up more than 11 million Kenyans, it is believed majority will suffer if President Ruto's directive will be implemented to the latter. In addition, the leaders who were elected on different political outfits have promised to put aside their political differences and work together for the common goal of Kenyans.
Tutafanya kazi pamoja na ile serikali ambayo iko serikali ya Rais William Samoei Arap Ruto.
Sisi sasa hatufanyi siasa za vyama. Tunafanya siasa ya kuhakikisha ya kwamba maendeleo imeingia mashinani. Kuhakikisha ya kwamba barabara ziko.
Mimi nilipitia katika chama cha DAP, Mheshimiwa Kishiangani ni wa Ford Kenya, Mheshimiwa Kipekee UDA, Mheshimiwa Deputy Speaker wetu ANC, Mheshimiwa Dadi Were ODM. Lakini tumesema tumeweka kando vyama vyetu tuweze kuwachapia kazi watu wa Saboti.
Na tunataka tushirikiane ili nanyi mkatafune mema ya nchi. Ama mnaonaje?
Siasa iliisha tarehe 9 wakati tulikuwa tunapiga kura. Hivi sasa tunazungumzia kazi na mambo ya kuinua viwango vya maisha ya wananchi.
Tumeitana kama viongozi wote wa Saboti constituency na tukasemezana tuweke vyama vyetu kando.
Bonfas Barasa, TV47.
Now, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi will have to wait a little longer before he can move into his new office based at the Kenya Railways headquarters, as renovation works are currently ongoing. Now, according to insiders, Mudavadi is currently domiciled at the National Treasury, where he will be discharging his mandate. TV47 senior political reporter Paulo Kamau looks at Mudavadi's new office, located in one of Kenya's most iconic buildings, with a history dating back to the 1920s.
The imposing and expansive Kenya Railway headquarters, the seat of the most powerful Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi's new home, is currently undergoing renovations to welcome its new guest.
I, Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi, having been appointed Prime Cabinet Secretary of Kenya.
Mudavadi, currently domiciled at the National Treasury, will be entering the annals of history as a person who officially occupied the office in a building whose history dates back to the 1920s, serving as a seat of power to colonial-era Governor Sir Edward Grieg, and which hosted the late Queen Elizabeth II, who stopped by on her way back to London from the Treetop Hotel in Nyeri.
It was structured in such a way that it was used to be receiving royalties. If the Queen came to Kenya, I have even been told, you will find the boardroom, how it was structured, and next to the boardroom there used to be a dining hall. And next to the dining hall used to be the kitchen. And the Queen used to have her meals in that very building.
During the cabinet nominees vetting, the building became the butt of a joke after Suna East MP Yunet Mohammed asked Mudavadi whether he was comfortable with the office, given its location at the epicenter of the capital's hustle and bustle.
That is a constant reminder that whenever I go to that office, I will know that those are hard workers in our country, and therefore we must not let them down. We must work hard and improve on this country. So I am personally very delighted to be domiciled at the railway headquarters.
Away from the ever-busy Haile Selassie Avenue and the ever-busy railway terminus, inside this magnificent piece of art is a serene environment conducive of an office environment. The building has 4 blocks, A, B, C and D, separated from each other by courtyards, ideal for enhancing light, a green environment with garden and water fountains, and enough space to accommodate members of the public and government functionaries.
It brings to perspective the new position that the Prime Cabinet Secretary has taken on, because then it talks to the building of the State House where the main power resides. It talks to where the Deputy President is going to be sitting, and then it marches in harmony. The Kenya Railway Headquarters marches in harmony with all the other buildings around it.
It's here that Mudavadi will be hosting principal secretaries, besides his other roles of assisting President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua to coordinate and supervise government ministries, oversee the implementation of national government policies, programs and projects, chair and coordinate national government legislative agenda across all ministries and state departments in consultation with and for transmission to the party coalition leaders in Parliament. Apol Kamau, TV47.
Now, away from that, members of the public and road safety officials have expressed concern over the spate of fatal accidents along the upgraded Eastern Bypass. The latest accident claimed at least 6 lives on Sunday morning when a speeding Land Cruiser rammed into a tuk-tuk and crashed it into a 14-seater matatu at Kamaki's area.
3 people died on the spot, while 3 others succumbed to injuries on arrival at the Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital after the accident. Police reports indicate that the driver of the vehicle that caused the accident was drunk at the time of the crash that occurred before 7 a.m. Sunday morning.
Hakikisha yako blues zimerudi barabarani. Manake unaelewa mwenye ile gari alikuwa ni mlevi. Sasa ulevi yake ameangamiza watu wameaga.
Border operators from the area say they are worried by the frequency of accidents there, which they blamed on the lack of road signs, speed bumps and stages for public service vehicles. The riders called for the expansion of the road to create space for matatus to pick passengers, noting that currently there is no provision for this, hence risking their lives.
Kutoka ile njia ya kuingia Mwihoko, hiyo roundabout iko hapo. Hiyo pia ina cost accident sana kwa sababu mtu akitoka Utawala anakuja kama amepita through akukua roundabout hapo, so unapata amepita. So tungeomba serikali kutoka hiyo bypass, kutoka pale mpaka pale chini ile bypass watuwekee bump hata kama ni 10.
Road Safety Association Chairman David Kiarie, who visited the scene, blamed designers of the road and the contractor for the current state of the road, which has become a killer. He noted that safety standards were not observed during the expansion of the key road.
Warekebisha hii barabara na tunawapatia siku 7. Kama hawajarekebisha hapa, tutawapeleka kotini. Manake wanastahili kugaramia maisha ya hawa watu ambao wameaga hapa. Hii ni makosa yao. Huwezi kuwa contractor umepewa kazi na serikali na hauelewi ni nini unafanya. Watu ambao wanataka kwenda upande ule, wanataka kurudi upande huu, pikipiki ambazo zinafanya biashara yake hapa wako katika hatari mbaya.
Kiarie appealed to the Kenya National Highways Authority, KENHA, to ensure there is safety for road users, including a service lane. He gave the contractor 7 days to erect the necessary road safety signs, failure to which his organization will sue them for negligence.
Hata mahali ya watu kuvuka hakuna. Hii barabara, this is a dangerous road and we want declared a very dangerous road.
He also cautioned motorists against driving while drunk and called for the reintroduction of the alcohol device to rein in drunk drivers. The driver of the tuk-tuk, 28-year-old Karaoke, who died on the spot, leaves behind a young wife and 2 children. His family members are crying out for justice. Speaking to journalists at the Ruiru police station, his cousin Lawrence Njue said the deceased was the sole breadwinner for the family and had bought the tuk-tuk just recently.
Yeah, Edwin alikuwa na familia, alikuwa na wife, a very young family ambaye ameacha nyuma watoto 2 na a very young wife, na ndiye alikuwa breadwinner kwa hiyo family. So it's unfortunate that family imebaki bila breadwinner. The guy was very hard.
The Catholic Church in Nyahururu is decrying increased cases of domestic violence in the country, calling for a concerted effort to end the vice. In Kirinyaga County, psychologists and counsellors now say drug abuse and high cost of living are to blame for increased cases of mental health illnesses, leading to family murders and suicide. Collins Lusweti with a roundup of stories.
Led by Nyahururu Catholic Diocese Bishop Joseph Mbatia, the Catholic Church in Nyahururu is now calling for a joint effort in tackling increased cases of domestic violence across the country, saying moral decay, irresponsibility and lack of love and unity among couples are the main factors leading to the vice.
Kila wiki mwanaume ameuawa na mwanamke, mwanamke ameuawa na mwanamume, mwanamume ameua mwanamke. Na hata wiki hii tumesikia hata kotini, hata wapi. We create, tunaendelea kuunda maisha ambayo itakuja kutuletea shida wakati wa usoni.
Meanwhile, psychologists and counselors in Kirinyaga County are citing drug and substance abuse together with high cost of living as the causes of increased cases of mental illness leading to family murders and suicide cases. Speaking during the mental health walk in Kirinyaga town, Kenya Counsellors and Psychologists Association Chairman Kamau Mushira blamed the government for failing to deal with the drug abuse menace that is greatly contributing to mental illness.
Serikali imeruhusia madawa za kulevya iuzwe kiholela, hata kama watu wanauza wakiwa wamejificha. Watu wakipelekwa kwa seli kwa sababu ya kuuza dawa za kulevya wataachiliwa tu kiholela na hautajua vile wataachiliwa.
And still in Kirinyaga County, police have arrested suspected drug peddler who is accused of supplying bang and other substances to pupils and students in different parts of the country. Confirming the incident, Kirinyaga East Sub-County Police Commander Edward Ndirangu said the suspect was arrested after being lured by the police who posed as buyers of the drugs. And finally, the board chairman of the Micro and Small Enterprises Authority, James Mureu, now wants registered groups receiving government-donated equipment to take good care of them through regular maintenance and servicing. He was speaking in Garissa in a handing-over exercise of a number of equipment, including a washing machine to 2 Garissa-based youth groups.
Is look after this equipment. They are yours to build your lives. You have been given a seed to plant and build yourselves. And
Collins Lusweti, TV 40.
Well, we take a short break. We'll be right back with more stories and, of course, the sports news right here on TV 47 Weekend with me, Karen Karimi.
TV 47, the home of untold stories. Big things come in small packages. Kwa hivyo, usiwatch tu, shika inayokufaa. Bring it to life like YouTube Shorts with Safaricom. Kuwa ndani ya game, piga hiyo story. Shorter is now better na YouTube Shorts. Njia mpya ya kuenjoy music, comedy, sport, trends and more in short. Dandia trend. Imba ngoma yako. Shorter is better when you are go-getter and you look too cool. You don't need no sweater. Bambika na shorts kila siku. Check stories za kila kitu. Sika 1GB na 10 bob. Dial *544#. Now you can watch and create YouTube Shorts videos on Kenya's fastest and most reliable network.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Discover a world full of opportunities. A place to build your skill and see the world in a different perspective. Sensei Institute of Technology is the home to the best practical courses, giving you hands-on experience to handle the world. We offer courses such as plant operator, plant mechanics, driving and trailer driving, CCTV and alarm installation, solar installation, electrical installation, motorcycle, motor vehicle mechanics and electronics, building construction technology, welding fabrication, roads and dam construction, hospitality courses, and many more. For you to join us, ensure you have your national ID card and be ready to enjoy the ride.
Remember, my skills, my future at Sensei.
Sensei College, my skills, my future.
Usiyakubalie maumivu ya misuli kukatiza ratiba yako. Kaluma Pain Balm ni dawa ya kusugua iliyotengenezwa kutoka kwa miche maalum ili kutuliza maumivu ya misuli. Kaluma Pain Balm. Shhh. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Chachisha mechi.
Chachisha Mechi. Catch all the 64 games live from Qatar on GOtv Super. Get your GOtv decoder for only 1,999 Kenya shillings. GOtv. Love it.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
I also want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank the religious leaders who for a long time started to build peace. You exercised the ministry of presence because before, during and after the elections, you were there. You opened your spaces so that people in need and distress could come and get some solace. You prayed with the Kenyans. You celebrated with us. And mine is to appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Kenya is what it is because of you. Thank you so very much. May God bless you. May God bless Kenya.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back to the program. Now, we all dream to live a good, comfortable life because what then is the purpose of living if not living a happy life? Picture this. In a bid to achieve the aforementioned, a mere single signature on a piece of paper ruins it all, leaving you in the dark pits of financial crisis. Locked in a dungeon of servicing a loan you know little about while you thought you did, just because you sought a loan to better your life. Recently, a number of Kenyans have come out to share their frustrations of how they got themselves into a financial crisis after signing up for a loan, claiming to find out later that they are supposed to pay triple the amount, if not double the amount of what they signed for. Our very own Mwiga William has been keeping tabs on this matter and filed the following report.
The high cost of living in the country has pushed many to the brink. Survival here is not just for the fittest, but for those not willing to play by the rules. Kenyans, knowingly or unknowingly, sign away their financial freedom. And this desperation almost ends in exploitation. Moses Kariuki, a father of one, is among the many Kenyans suffering due to an exploitative lending system. Faced with the huge responsibilities, Kariuki turned to lenders to start his own income-generating business. He is a boda operator who for 6 years has been conducting his trade along the busy Waiyaki Way in Nairobi. According to him, the boda business has been a lucrative one, although its gains have been dwindling over the years.
Nikianza sikuwa nimeoa, nilipata mboma kupitia boda. Then from there, nime brought up family, kuna familia, mimi ni mzazi na lea. Na nimeona faida za pikipiki sana. Sababu hadi kujenga, nimejenga kupitia pikipiki. Na mahali nafika bado kunisustain Nairobi ni pikipiki bado. So kwa pikipiki nimekuwa na experience ya muda mrefu. So kasi ya boda iko sawa.
From being employed as a rider to owning his first second-hand bike and to finally owning a brand new one, Kariuki quickly spotted an opportunity to earn more by getting financing for his expanding business through a loan. The process of getting the loan, according to him, was very easy. It was processed within 24 hours after his application, with the only other requirement asked of him being able to place a 15,000 shillings deposit to the lender.
Time nikiwa na bike yangu na bradhangu mdogo akamaliza shule form 4. So akakuwa ana ajira, anatafuta kazi apati hapa Nairobi na anahangaika, na mimi ndio nilikuwa namlipia nyumba. So nikamwambia kwa sababu bado sana niko na familia, itakuwa ngumu sana kukusustain wewe hapa Nairobi. The only thing that I can do, nimesikia kuna bike za loan zimekuja, sasa itabidi nitoe pesa kidogo niende niwekelee, njuu zinaekelewa pesa kidogo, nikupatie hiyo bike ndiposa ufanye kazi nayo. Sasa hapo ndio nilianza safari ya bike za loan.
But unknown to Kariuki, the devil was in the details of the easy-to-process loan documents. What followed was anguish as he slowly sank in a deep financial crisis pit. With a non-deposit microfinance firm that had financed him firmly on his trail, and despite him having serviced a percentage of the loan, he lost the asset plus the money he had paid up already, accumulating to close to 130,000 shillings.
Ukienda na 15,000 unawekelea, unapewa bike. Hiyo bike unalipa kwa mwaka, kwa tunatuma 400 kwa kila siku. Na nikaona ni mzuri, na kwa ajili kazi iko na atafanya kazi, nikaona ataweza kulipa, na juana familia, nikaona ni vizuri nimsaidie hivyo. Ndiposa tukaendelea, tukasainania kila kitu na tukapewa bike. Bike tulipewa bike mpya ikiwa na insurance ya mwaka moja. Tukaambiwa baada ya mwaka ukimaliza kulipa pia mwaka itakuwa hiyo insurance itakuwa imeexpire. Na hapo ndipo sasa tukapewa bike na tukakuja na bike. Tukalipa mwaka. Kabla ya mwaka kwenda kuisha, bike ikiwa imebakisha kitu kama miezi 2 hivi ishe, tulistukia sana, hatuna pikipiki.
His efforts to get back the motorcycle were futile, which left him with a lot of regrets. He opines that had he saved up for the same period he was servicing the loan, he would have owned a new debt-free asset.
Kama unaweza kuwa na pesa, unaweza nunua bike cash. Ama ununue second bike, ufanye nayo ukisave, ikifika mahali uuze hiyo old bike na ile saving uko nayo uongeze ununue mpya. So siwezi advise mtu achukue bike ya loan kwa sababu hizi bike za loan, shida yenye iko unachukua unafanyia. Ukifanya sasa ile uko karibu kumalizia, unafika mahali unapata karibu kumalizia bike imepotea. According to me, kulingana na vile experience nimeona kupitia kwa hao watu kenye kinawafutia sana ni ile sweet talk yao agent wenye wanatumwa kuja kuongelesha nayo. Kwa sababu unasikia mtu anakuambia even if you can't pay in a year, tunaweza pia kuongezea miezi kadhaa juu. So ulipe less amount in a daily basis, such as unaambiwa instead ya kutuma 500 kwa siku unaweza kuwa unatuma 300 ama pesa kidogo. So hiyo ndio kitu ambayo inafanya vijana waingie kwa hizo maroni haraka, kwa sababu anapiga hesabu anaona kupata 300 ni rahisi sana. But ajui ile mtego amejiingiza kwamba atakapochukua ile bike anavaa kule akunywe na alipe rent na mambo zingine mingi, mahitaji yake lazima yatekeleze. So kwa ajili ya hiyo unapata amelemewa kulipa. Akishalemewa kulipa, sasa unapata huyo mtu hadi amelemewa hata kulipa bike na bike imenyang'anywa.
Year-old Maurice Kioko, just like Kariuki, also needed financing to acquire an asset, a motor vehicle, but he fell short of the total needed amount. The cash purchase cost of the vehicle was 950,000 shillings. To avoid the long and tedious process required for financing by banks and SACCOs, he saw an easy way out was to get the cash through a non-deposit microfinance company. In his case, Kioko only paid 250,000 shillings deposit for a Toyota Mark X model, with the contract stating that the rest of the amount should be settled by the lender. Kioko opted to settle the loan issued to him within 5 years.
Okay, it was this year, mwezi wa 3 ndio nilipata hiyo interest ya kununua gari. So juu nilikuwa na pesa kidogo, nikaenda kwa Mogo, nikawaeleza that I have an intention to buy a car. Alafu wakaniambia well it is good, na kuna some requirements walikuwa wanahitaji, of which I provided them, na wakaziperusi wakaniambia I really qualify for a loan. Then wakaniambia nitafute gari, nikaenda pale Garden City, nikaweza kupata gari, na hii gari ilikuwa worth yake ilikuwa 950,000 shillings. So wakaniambia I'm going to pay 30% and the 70% wataweza kulipa. So I went ahead, nikalipa hiyo 250k na wao wakaweza kulipa hiyo 700k, na hiyo ilikuwa mwezi wa 4.
The situation for Kioko, however, took a different turn a few months down the line when he requested for a loan statement from his lender. He says the math and figures did not add up as was in the repayment agreement. Kioko has been religiously paying a monthly amount of 46,000 shillings to the lender, but he says his loan figures are not reducing.
Na kwa mwezi huwa nawalipa 46,000. Na kutoka mwezi wa 5 up to last month mwezi wa September, I have been paying the car. So nikifanya my own calculations, nimelipa around 240k. Then I went ahead, nikawaitisha the loan statement, ndio nijue ile balance yangu imebaki. Nikapata ile loan statement walinipea. Ile balance ambayo napaswa kulipa asset now ni 865k. So my worry is, ile loan walikuwa wamenipea ni 700k. Lakini sasa hiyo wananiambia ile loan balance nimebakisha ni 865, na kutoka mwezi wa 5 I have been paying 46k per month. That is a total of 240k. So ukiangalia 700 na nimelipa 240k, maybe hata kama kuna interest ile imebakia ni around 500k.
A concerned Kioko approached the lender in question regarding the matter, but he alleges he gets little to no help in trying to understand the formula used to calculate his loan repayment terms, and he is now considering to default altogether.
Hii loan yenye nimechukua nimeichukua, nitakuwa nimeilipa for the next 5 years. So kwa saa hii nilikuja nikafanya mahesabu zangu, nikapata for example if I'm paying 46,000 per month na itaenda for around 5 years, nitakuwa nimelipa around 2.5 somewhere there. Na kulingana na zile mahesabu zangu, if ile loan walikuwa wamenipea ni 700k na naenda kulipa 2.5, I think hii ni wizi ya mchana. So there is something opaque that I'm not understanding in terms of how they are calculating their interest and the payment of this loan. I had already sent the agreement with them. I have just decided that they just come and pick the car, because I can't continue paying 46,000 per month, and the principal that I have been paying for, it is not depreciating. It is just inapanda tu. So it does not make logic. Unalipa lakini hiyo balance inaendelea na kushoot badala ya kuteremka.
Knowing too well the repercussions of defaulting on the loan repayment, Kioko says he is ready and willing to give up on the already spent amount. That is about 400,000 shillings, and be free from the shackles of debt, because according to his understanding, the situation does not match what he signed up for.
For example, sasa nikikosa kulipa hii gari, office wataikujia. Na wakiikujia, mimi mwenyewe ndio nitakuwa nimeenda hasara. For example, nilikuwa nimelipa hiyo 250k, na kwa sasa nimelipa almost 240k. So ukifanya mahesabu, that is almost 500k yenye nimeenda hasara. And this is just within a span of 5 months. Not years, just a span of 5 years. 5 months, I mean.
Hundreds of kilometers away from Nairobi, Wilberforce Wafula and Clement Chembe from Bungoma County share a similar story of Kiokos and Kariukis. They too took up loans from non-deposit financial institutions only to regret later. Wafula defaulted to pay up his loan, claiming he redirected some of the cash to finance his late father's burial.
Mimi nilipochukua hiyo pikipiki nikaendesha katika miezi 9, wakakuja wakachukua pikipiki. Na si eti walichukua, nilikuwa na arrears mingi. Walinipata nilikuwa kwa matanga, mzaa alikuwa amekufa. Na nilishangaa sana juu hapo sikuwa na la kusema. Wakakuja wakachukua pikipiki. Niliposti na 25,000 kwa miezi 14. Wakaniambia total nitalipa ilikuwa 170. Sasa vile nilikuwa nimelipa miezi 9, balance ilikuwa ya 40,000. Wakakuja wakachukua pikipiki na nilikuwa kwa matanga. Sasa nikashindwa, mbona hawakunieleza juu arrears haikuwa mingi. Wangenieleza ningejua vile naweza ongea nao nilipa alafu niendelee kupaki na pikipiki.
Wafula claims talks with the microfinance lender did not bear any fruit, which led to him losing thousands that he had already paid up, plus the motorcycle.
Unajua sisi wanabodaboda tuko na roho ngumu sana. Tena mtu akikuja achukue pikipiki na umengangana naye kwa hiyo miezi yote, unaona ni ngumu sana. Hata akichukua unaweza, kwa hasira unaweza fikiria amekupunguzia mzigo, kumbe amekuongezea mzigo. Juu akichukua uko na hasira mingi. Unaona si kuweza kufuatilia, lakini nilijua mtatusaidia.
Clement Chembe suffered the same fate. He was unable to pay up the agreed amount, saying that at the time he was unwell, and his health became a priority. The lenders could hear none of his pleas and took away the motorcycle that he had bought through the financing.
Lakini saa hii wanatuumiza sisi. Ona vile hali ya maisha vile imesonga watu. Uchumi imetorora. Ukiwaelezea hao wataki kuchua. Kwanza kuna wamama huwa wanapiga simu na madharau sana. Kwa hiyo kampuni ya watu. Hao wajui maneno ya pikipiki, mambo vile inatusumbua. Naomba tu hiyo kampuni serikali iingilie kati. Ile mkataba yenye mmesikizana, kama umeshindwa hapo kweli wako na uwezo wa kuchukua. Lakini haujamafikia hiyo kiwango yenye mmesikizana. Wanakuja hata umepaki na arrears labda ya 20,000 ama 10,000. Wanachukua tu. Alafu ukienda huko wameongeza kwa yeye 15,000 inakuwa 30.
But even as some wake up to the reality that the terms of the loans are not all rosy, some are still optimistic that they can better their lives through the loan facilities. Samuel Kariuki is one such person who has taken a loan to enable him purchase a motorbike and self-employ himself.
Kwa kwanza nilikuwa nimeajiriwa, ndio nikaona kuajiriwa hata hiyo pikipiki ukilipa miaka ngapi haitakuwa yako. Nikaona nichukue pikipiki yangu ya loan, nikaenda nika deposit 15,000. Nikawa nilipe kwa wiki. So ndio naendelea kulipa, niko karibu kumaliza. Pikipiki kwa duka kwa sasa inatoka 133,000. Lakini sasa vile nilichukua kwa loan, sasa hii kwa ile pesa nalipa kwa wiki, nalipa hii pikipiki kwa wiki 37.72. Nafaa nilipe mwaka moja. So ukipiga hesabu yako inakuja kama 200,000 na kitu.
Will it be a matter of time before Kariuki changes his views about the lender, or it will also be another case of a little too late?
Kwangu mimi nilichukua nikijiamini, juu already nilikuwa naweza kulipa ya wenyewe, na nikaona hata nikichukua ya loan nitaweza kulipa. Juu pikipiki ya kuajiliwa, hakuna siku nimekuambia itakuwa yako. Hakuna siku. Hata ulipe miaka ngapi, mwenyewe akiamua kuuza leo atauza. Na hakuna kitu utamwambia. Lakini yako ya loan ukijikaza, umalize tu kulipa, utakuwa sawa. Maisha yako itakuwa poa.
At the center of the hue and cry from the many innocent Kenyans, among the mentioned lenders frequently mentioned is Mogo, an international non-deposit microfinance which has been in operation in the country for 3 years. Stephen Mwangi heads branches and sales in the institution and agreed to an interview with TV47 to respond to the issues raised, giving details of the contract they sign with their clients.
Majority of these customers that we go for, the customers, Mogo customers, are the customers who would not directly be able to get loans from the bank, or even if they can be able to qualify for loans from the bank, you find that due to one reason or the other, or the bureaucratic system in the banks, they cannot be able to get the money within the time they want. For example, here in Mogo, our loans are offered within 24 hours for cars. If you have your car, you can come to us and get a loan within 24 hours. If you need to buy a car, once again, with a deposit of 20%, we will finance you up to 80%. These are some of the terms that you cannot be able to get them from the bank. When you are coming to take a loan with Mogo, you are not requested by anyone to pay anything. So customer, if you have your car and you need a loan, you just walk into any of our branch, you can apply online, and you can go to any dealership and say, I need this to buy this car. So with that, you just bring the car, we'll do the valuation, we don't charge you. We'll put the tracker, we also don't charge you on this one, and then you get your money. Once you apply for a loan with us, even before we process your loan, we will issue you with a preliminary offer. A preliminary offer is a document that where you'll now be able to compare and agree that this term is okay. If you want to pay your loan within 24 months, within 6 months, and this installment is, I'm okay with this. Once you read the document, and it has a schedule, amortization table schedule, if it's 24 months, that is 6 months, you agree to that. Once you are confident and comfortable with that schedule, we now move to the next stage. And the next stage is when we ask you for the document that you need to provide to us for us to be able to process your loan. At this stage, when you are processing your loan, we'll ask you for the ID card, to identify know your customer, KRA PIN, and the cash flow documents. Now, after loan has been approved, you will be called to our branch to come and sign. And you only sign agreement in the branch where you will be guided by our loan officer. First thing we insist, you have to read the agreement. And when you are reading the agreement, there is a section where we put the loan repayment schedule there, where you have to check that what you are signing is what you agreed to. So everyone and every customer who signs loans with us, they sign based on the agreement they have read and they have been taken through by our loan officers.
Mwangi, however, will later reveal that the institution received complaints of the same nature shared by the persons we interview, and they handled them as guided by the signed agreements.
So if they are our customers, one thing that we do, we have various channels where customers can be able to raise their issues by contacting to us, by visiting any of our branches, go there and be assisted by our officers who are trained to handle this. So the moment we receive any complaint, the complaint will come. We are in business, so we cannot try to avoid or complaints will not come. So they'll come. We have a team that will be able to respond to every issue that comes. If an issue, let's say a customer says the interest rate is very high and not what they expected when they were signing the agreement, we already have the agreement and customer read the agreement. We will be able now to ask the customer, please come, let's sit down and tell us what exactly did you want? Honestly speaking, I'm able to see majority of the complaints that come, that we receive, but the complaints about our interest being high is not anywhere among the top 10 of the complaints that we receive. So on this one, I would say mainly, of course, it will be there down there. Would be mainly if when the customer was at the branch or at the dealership, didn't get clear information about the agreement.
But some of the biggest puzzles to this are why a huge number of Kenyans opt to take up such loan facilities and why the lenders easily dish out the loans.
Then VOOP came the mobile banking applications, which no longer needed history with them. And some of them could even borrow history from other applications. They would access your mobile phone transactions and borrow that history and use that history to loan to you in an instant manner. However, many of the applications are not giving huge amounts of money that people have now gotten accustomed to. So what has happened is now we have an explosion of the microfinance. So microfinance is also operating on the same platform. They promise instant loans, quick processing, which many of the other providers of funds, that is your commercial banks and your cooperatives, are not able to provide as fast as such.
Michael Wanjala, an accountant by profession with 15 years of experience, notes that there has been a steady rise in the number of Kenyans seeking loans from non-deposit financial institutions without the full knowledge of what awaits them.
So it is very easy for them to realize their collateral. Why these sectors have been targeted is one, because of the now the digital mobile apps around taxis. So you are promised on one side, sign up, you get an asset, but the asset is able to generate resources for you. You are told put in 15,000, we give you a motorbike, but on a daily basis you are told on the other side, if you are operating very well, you are able to get your 3,000-4,000. So on top of it, you quickly see that this is an arrangement that you can get in and remain afloat, be able to service your loans. But the reality is that once you get into business, you realize it is not as easy as it were, because if it were, then everybody would have run into those kinds of arrangements. Obviously, nobody has free money. So one of the things we must tell our citizens is the promise of free money is a lie. Nobody has free money. Every money comes at a cost. And nobody takes risks without covering themselves. So the promise of instant processing of loan, behind the scenes, they have mechanisms through which they have covered themselves. And one of the very simple mechanisms is they tell you the rate of interest is 4%. And then they silently don't tell you it is 4% per month. And then that means it is upwards of 48% a year, which is even higher than what you would get from commercial banks. So I would urge that there is need for caution. There is need for proper analysis of these contracts before you get in. As people say, if the deal is too good, think twice.
Wanjala recommends that any person who thinks that they were duped or got a raw deal after signing up for a loan should seek legal redress.
In our country, there is the anti-duplam rule, which says that interest charged on the principal amount should never go beyond twice the amount of the principal. So some of these actions that are being taken are actually outside the ambit of the law in Kenya. So it is possible that they can have a class action, that they can approach the courts of law and seek redress. Number two, when you procure something, you are entitled to get full information. So where some of these clauses were hidden, for instance, people should never accept to sign off and leave the contract with the provider of the service, because then you are allowing them to have an opportunity to even manipulate the original contract. So Kenya should insist that anytime they sign off something, then they pick the contract, they make sure they have read it, and they keep their contract, so that in future, if there are any changes, then we can be able to engage to see whether even the provider of loan is following up. Finally, my comment would be, one, like I said, there's never free money. And then two, don't look at interest in isolation. Kenyans must appreciate that sometimes when somebody tells you the rate is 4%, please query, is it 4% per day, per week, per month? Follow through in terms of the other conditions that are attached to the loan. Because remember, these people are in the business of loaning, so they know the behavior of customers. By the way, they make more money from you when you default than when you don't.
For Kioko, Samuel, Kariuki, Chembe and Wafula, seeking legal redress is one way they can settle dispute with those they entered into a contract with. But presently, they are counting losses rather than bettering their lives.
Sasa hizi nimeandikwa tu tena pikipiki ya mwenzangu. Natafuta pesa lakini sioni juu saa hizi mapato ya siku imekuwa ngumu, hali saa hizi ni ngumu. Unajua saa hizi nimeandikwa tu na mwenzangu.
Hata wale maaskari ambao walituma kuja kuninyang'anya mimi pikipiki, tuliweza kuarusana nao kwa sababu mkataba yenye tulikuwa tumesikizana nao hatukuingiana nao. Karibu nikachukulia hatua lakini nikasema
So ningewadvise ni vizuri kama utaweza kufanya kazi kwa mikono yako vizuri na ungangane upate pesa ya kununua bike, ili ununue tu bike yako bila loan.
And the option that I have ni Mogo wakuje tu achukue gari yao na mimi mwenyewe tu niseme nimeenda hasara, but all in all it is life.
It is a matter that has even caught the eyes of legislators, prompting them to share the pain that Kenyans are experiencing.
Mr. Speaker, Finance and Budget should come up with an appropriate measure, Mr. Speaker, on how we can be able to protect our people who are innocent, by the way, Mr. Speaker. Because when you go and sign these things, they ensure that it is fine print. You don't see what you are signing. Most of our people are very old. They don't even have, they don't have spectacles, Mr. Speaker, or reading glasses, and therefore they end up signing themselves to something like a death warrant, Mr. Speaker. And most people, after this has undergone through, Mr. Speaker, and the Senator of Siaya can agree with me, is that some of these people go to depression, they go to stress, and some of them even end up committing suicide.
Senators on the floor of the August House called for the regulation of the fast-growing industry, which according to them have caused more pain than help to a great number of Kenyans.
With statistics showing actually, Mr. Speaker, that the repossession rate of motorbikes in our country today stands at an approximate number of 50%. Mr. Speaker, the repossession of collateral assets, especially in cases where at least 30% of the value of the assets have been paid up, is an extremely punitive remedy, and since asset-based microlending companies operate in a limited regulatory space, recourse for the borrower is limited.
These people, when they are coming back for their money, Mr. Speaker, and I think we need a protective legislation, they come with administration police officers. What they do, they don't even negotiate. They drive away the cows. They take maybe Mahindi in stores, Mr. Speaker. They take television sets, they take sofa sets. Mr. Speaker, apart from causing domestic problems through this micro-lending, Mr. Speaker, it also, Mr. Speaker, creates vicious circle of poverty, as my brother said.
Mwige William, TV 47.
You can catch a repeat of Signing for Exploitation on our Facebook and YouTube page, TV47 Kenya. Now, let's get sporty. And Elias Kimboi Chelimo and Sheila Chepgetch were earlier today crowned the champions of the 19th edition of the Standard Chartered Marathon after winning the men's and women's 42-kilometer race respectively. The race attracted over 200 elite athletes and over 20,000 recreational runners who raised funds that will be channeled towards supporting persons with disabilities in an initiative dubbed Future Makers. Our sports reporter Dennis Otieno attended the race and filed the following report.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 10K.
Runners from all walks of life earlier today gathered at the Uhuru Gardens along Langata Road in Nairobi to take part in the 19th edition of the Standard Chartered Marathon, which aimed at supporting persons with disabilities through the Future Makers initiative, while at the same time tackle climate change by planting over 25,000 tree seedlings. The marathon featured 6 race categories, including the 42, 21, 10, 21 wheelchair and 5-kilometer family run, as well as the corporate relay challenge. E10's Elias Kemboi Chelimo dominated the men's 42-kilometer race as he finished first in a time of 2 hours, 10 minutes and 22 seconds, only 0.29 seconds ahead of second-placed Wilfred Kirwa and Felix Kipkorir Kangogo, who settled for the bronze medal.
Nikiandaa Frankfurt but sikuweza kwa sababu ya passport yangu ilichelewa. Naona nikivitia bidii nione kama nitakimbia mbio nyingine na iwe ni kimbia bora kuliko hii sasa zaidi.
Meanwhile, in the women's category, Chepkech emerged victorious in a time of 2 hours, 27 minutes and 4 seconds, while Beatrice Chepto and Shailin Jepkorir Torotich came in second and third respectively. Among other races that went underway at the event saw Patrick Mosin and Jessica Chelangat win the men's and women's 10-kilometer race respectively. Daniel Ebenyo and Evelyn Chirchir won the men's and women's 21-kilometer race respectively, while Milton Hahua and Caroline Wanjira won the men's and women's 21-kilometer wheelchair race respectively. The marathon was attended by Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba, Athletics Kenya President Jackson Tuwei, and Chief of the Kenya Defence Forces General Robert Kibochi. Speaking after the event, Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba emphasized the ministry's fight against doping.
All the athletes, all the winners have taken their doping test. And our anti-doping agency of Kenya, EDAC, is here, and they have been doing the testing. And until your test results come out, you're not going to see any hard cash. If you come out clean, we'll be very happy to make sure that you get your cash. That is how serious we are on this mission of anti-doping.
The winners of the 42 kilometers race were rewarded with 2 million shillings, while the runners-up and first runners-up walked home with 750,000 shillings and 500,000 shillings respectively.